continuously, you have to spend whatever it is required to get the ball rolling on the ground. Because if you sustain your business, you have a leverage in the market to supply your medicine, and you have upper edge in terms of creating a better turnaround for a top and as well as bottom line. So BCP 2.0 actually helped us in terms of screening people, identifying the COVID cases, and then also find the solution how to deal with those cases. And also the primary and secondary contact tracing, which was very, very vital at that time. BCP 3.0 and 4.0 specifically was in between the preventive and reactive approach. And that was a time when our peak cases peaked in Dr. Reddy's, which was like July was our peak. Whereas in India saw the peak in the month of September, Dr. Reddy saw the peak in the month of July. That was a time where number of cases were in hundreds every day. And we have dealt the situation very delicately, because that's a time where absenteeism also shot up to 30% because of the fear, because of the anxiety. But at the same time, our zoning system worked very well, which we established in BCP 1.0, which actually helped us in terms of shutting down one specific section and running other sections continuously. And also in this reactive phase, we built 3 more controls. The control with respect to giving the care to the employees who tested positive. So we have collaborated with Apollo to reserve the beds. We have collaborated with Apollo to establish or convert 3 big hotels in 3 different cities to convert as a quarantine center. We have collaborated in terms of care of giving them a COVID testing kit, a COVID care kits, which actually in the entire phase of their 10 to 12 days was helping them very well. And in this also reactive phase, we ensured that post recovery, we get them tested again. As per the ICMR rules, post recovery, no testing required. But we made it as a rule to give them a confidence that yes, you are cured. We got the similar kind of a testing done at a quarantine center or the hospitals. And once they test negative, then only we take them back. So that it gives the confidence back to our employees that people are safe and they're coming back to the job. With all these effort, where we know there is a peculiar data available in the market that mortality rate range from 1.5% to 3.5%. With our effort, our mortality rate in Dr. Reddy's was just 0.001%. Because the best thing in COVID is that the early you detect, the better care you can give, the faster you can give the care, the better the recovery would be. And we have delayed the process of infection in our company till May end, there was 0 case. And cases started coming from the June week and it peaked in July. And by the time we speak, the case rate has dipped to the June level. So this BCP 4.0 is a plan which we have built and rolled out last week, is all about unlocking anything and everything what we built in BCP 1.0. So right from dezoning to make sure there is a one plant. So all these 8 zones were dissolved. And we've also made sure that checks and balances are established in such a manner that we are going for a rapid test now rather than a RT-PCR at this moment. And this rapid test helped us in terms of not only we test employees, but also their families. Because as the unlocking is happening outside, we have realized we can't control many things inside. Because people are mingling, they are celebrating, they are enjoying, and they are bringing this COVID back to the side. But at this moment, we have medicines also available, where our own product, Fevipirar, is also launched into the market. We also have our own remdesivir in the market. And we also have now confidence in which employee believe the vaccine, which is going to get into our phase 2 and phase 3 trial in a week's time. As we speak in BCP 3.0 end, absenteeism because of COVID is 1.2%. So we have ensured business continuity with availability of the manpower. We have ensured not a single day the resources at an input raw material, finished good, as well as the waste management is impacted. Not a single day we have shut down our plant. We have also helped our company in terms of defining a strategy for the future impacts on similar kind of a situation. Now, since we have a roadmap and we have a learning, we have converted this into a case study, and we have built a dossier which can help us in terms of dealing similar kind of situation in future. When we have evolved and when we have medicine in hand, from the sustainability point of view, we have started the project No Fever. So this project No Fever is a part of our BCP, which is for the larger community now. Since we have came out of this entire impact, our job is to now enlighten the knowledge for community. So Project No Fever talks about how to handle COVID, how to handle situation, because we have passed through a phase where three things happen parallelly in the community. Because 2 seasons we have seen COVID passing. And as the season change, chikungunya, dengue, and different diseases also creeping. And people generally get confused in between, I have a dengue or I have COVID. So educate the people in surrounding that how they can keep safe, their family safe, as well as their surroundings safe. From all these perspectives, this Project No Fear is a collaboration with the local municipality to give the kits to the volunteer, go into different communities and educate different people in terms of how to handle the COVID and how to handle situation when you have no COVID but still have a fever, right? So from BCP 1.0 to 4.0 taught us a good journey or a good learning that if you be proactive, then you will be the winner in the race. But if you remain reactive, that's if something hit the ground, then only you react, then you will be the loser. Because when you don't have any solution in hand, that's the best part when the proactive safety come in the picture, of proactive protocols come in a picture. So I'm a strong believer that when there is a crisis, you will always have to look into in a very proactive manner rather than waiting for an impact to come on your door. And we always believe that controls in BCP should be around people, process, and hardware together. We cannot just work on one element and try to look forward for a win. All three dimensions of people, process, and hardware has to get impacted on the ground. If you have to build the control, build it proactively so that in a preventive and a reactive phase, you can see the benefit of it. Delay the problem with the proactive control. Diminish the things with the preventive control and excel in reactive controls. So that when the impacts start hitting you, the impact should be least and minimum rather than it start eat away your entire business in the bottom. As you see our Q2 and Q3 result, and you have seen our growth path, our share in the market almost doubled up. Our bottom line has shown the healthy growth as well as profitability. And at the same time, the impact in terms of mortality is as less as possible. As we speak, our recovery rate is 98.5% against the 90% of India. And we also believe that we have taught a lesson to the entire pharmaceutical fraternity without shutting down how you can excel and continue the business over a period of time. So that's what is my thought process on the case which I just wanted to present, because for a student, case study is more important than talking about a bookish language or something which they will not find in the book. Now I'll talk about a very high level how a safety can contribute into BCP. Safety can very well contribute into BCP because they are one of the backbone of the BCP. BCP have multiple elements. It's a plethora talk. It has a financial risk in the BCP we can cover. There are other risks in terms of, you must have heard, Dr. Reddy has gone through a recently cyber attack. It has an element of all emerging risk which you can't even think of. So BCP is an evolving thing. BCP cannot be one single book you frame 5 years back and you rely on that. BCP need to be renewed on time-to-time basis. There has to be a strong governance mechanism. We have a risk committee where I'm a part of it, and safety, health, environment, and sustainability point of view, I keep reviewing it every 15 days on different type of a risk. And we have an advisory committee where external experts give us the insight that what is happening outside the world, what is happening outside the pharma, and how we can evolve with the new technology, new intervention, checks and balances and controls so that we can avert and respond faster on those risks. So I see dynamism is something which is very important in BCP. And when it comes to the safety, risk evolve over a period of time. So we must have a chair in our BCP control committee in terms of voicing out the concern and also to review it on a frequent basis. Then only it will yield result over a period of time. That's it from my end. In case if you have any question, happy to answer that.
Thank you, Mr. Thakur, for that excellent presentation. We'll take the questions right at the end after all the panelists speak. So I really enjoyed listening to you, Mr. Thakur. You brought out beautifully how this pandemic has been both a threat and an opportunity, and how DRL has done during these times. You spoke systematically about what you did in BCP 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0. And the best thing is you also told us that your plant was not shut down even for a single day. So that's a great achievement in today's times. So thanks for that wonderful presentation. I will now request Saili to invite the next esteemed speaker, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So our next speaker for today's event is Mr. Santosh Kumar Srivastava. He's the Chief Health and Safety Officer at Cairn Oil and Gas. So Mr. Santosh Kumar Srivastava, sir, has 24 years of experience working with Gale, SAIL and Vedanta in the field of safety. He's also a certified safety auditor from FICCI and has been awarded International Safety Award with merit by the British Safety Council. Sir, we welcome you all, and now the floor is all yours to share your experience with us.
Thanks, Ali, and thanks to all the delegates. It's an awesome experience to be part of the panel, esteemed panel members from diversified industries and institutions. So the topic which has been proposed today is very relevant to the current scenario. And in fact, I would like to thank NITIE for inviting me. In fact, the last 2 years, I was not able to join somehow, but this time I decided to out time to be part of this event, and I will like to focus mainly on starting with oil and gas industries, because I'm right now working in Cairn Oil and Gas. This is an upstream business dealing with crude oil production and transportation as well to the different consumers across India. And we hold about 30% stake in crude oil production of India's production volume. And our vision is, of course, to be about 50% stakeholder in terms of production of crude oil. And right now our major operation is in Rajasthan, wherein it is in the form of various well pads scattered in a region of about 200 kilometers across Rajasthan in Barmer district. And of course, apart from that, we are having offshore platforms also in Surat as well as in Andhra Pradesh. And this is means oil and gas business. So our emergency management scenario is very robust, and we were already having this business continuity plant since inception. Though major content of the business continuity plant used to incorporate the devastating scenarios, of course, due to handling of oil and gas and other chemicals, storage of diesels, propane, and other things, means in turn leading to a major fire or catastrophic event, disrupting the business, even up to the extent we have identified tankers which are means carrying crude oil from one place to another due to means various scenarios, disruption of business due to tankers, fire or tanker means strike and other things. Means in terms of many aspects, this BCP was there, and it used to be led by our finance head of the location and reviewed on a quarterly basis initially, then it means became on monthly basis. Our ST just now elaborate in March in the form of BCP 1.0 from his institution, from his organization, and then leading gradually means upgrading the same, and now they are running with the 4.0 also. So likewise, I think many industries have done, and it is appreciable that in pharma industries they have proactively done this, and this has only means the resulted into also, and also the management of healthcare facilities. So to me means I was also at that time, though I in corporate office, but at that time during this pandemic, which when the lockdown was declared, I was at site. I was at site in Barmer, and within 2 days, means all the scenarios changed. Once this was declared, from Government of India, and there only means I still remember means 2 days and 2 nights we spent means formulating and upgrading our business continuity plan, wherein this COVID scenario means came into picture, and means our management and workers and the means the people representing contractors were also involved into the discussion of the business continuity plan, because they were our major stakeholders. So let me tell you that we operate about 80% on our outsource model, means business partner are means driving the business, and 20% from our regular employees. So obviously we have to look after the responses from our business partners to this situation and scenario. So multiple things we have done in terms of proactively thinking. Initially, even WHO was not clear. Even masks were, you all know, means not made compulsory earlier. It was later discovered that masks are essential ones that has to be done. But initially, what we did in business continuity plan, we included absenteeism, mass absenteeism due to this pandemic, which was the first foreseen scenario. Though we were having one of the health aspects in terms of dengue, malaria, and mass outbreak of all these type of diseases, how to cater with them. But of course, COVID was something different, which was new to everybody, including, I mean, starting from WHO and leading to then the even the CEOs and to the safety professionals also. And we were told to work on that. So it was a big challenge on that aspect. But what we did was to involve everybody and take the ideas from our multiple stakeholders. And finally, means we made a draft plan, which was rolled out by our CEO, wherein we means included all the stakeholders. And it was found that we are able to manage those type of absentees in a proactive approach. Like initially what happened that we were working on 21 days at site. So this is on a pattern of job where it is required to be present for 21 days. Then the worker is given off for 21 days, next 21 days. So we decided to extend that duty pattern for 60 days. Whosoever at site have to remain at site for next means and complete the road can be done, and so that we can prevent traveling, because at that time traveling was restricted, and that we means proactively did. And after that what happened after that all the critical means leaders were told to be stationed at means offices and take control over the situation and monitor. So we developed a COVID management center at respective sites and leading to escalating to the corporate level, so that decisions can be made in timely manner. And that was the initial.
Sir, your audio was breaking a bit.
Thereafter, we did tie up with Apollo Health and Care in terms of education. Hello? Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, your audio is breaking, sir.
Are you to listen to me?
Yeah, we are listening, but there's a slight break.
I think some network issue.
Yeah.
Okay, I will means carry out the conversation on a slower pace. Yeah. I think that will be better one.
Yeah, we are able to hear.
So I was telling that. Yeah. So I was telling that means we initially did that thing as a proactive measure. Then we did a tie-up with Apollo Health and Care Services for evacuation of our means suspected cases in case of medical emergencies needed. So we hired this medical evacuation services through third party, because Barmer is a remote location in Rajasthan, and from Barmer to going to Delhi or challenge. So we started means good results into that, because wherein COVID patients, the employees who were detected were means up to very serious mode, and they were evacuated within 2 hours from site to Delhi Delhi hospital. So that gave us a good result in saving lives of 2 people at least. Then about a month ago, we purchased a mobile app on contact tracing. Means that app used to give alarm on social distancing. Means 2 people coming in proximity of about 1.5 meter, then a buzzer was sounded so that they be alerted, and also helped us in making the contact tracing. Means post-COVID, last 12 days record of contact tracing, it helped us to track that record so that people can be quarantined. And likewise, people quarantine facility was also given, wherein bunks were provided at site. Special bunks were provided so that they can be isolated in quarantine, and all the fooding, lodging was taken care by company. So this was initiated from our side, and also the
So
which they
some
used to
audio
give health and
issues.
hygiene, and all the hello.
Hello, I think there's
Yes,
audio issue, right?
ma'am, you are right now able to hear or not?
Yeah, now I'm able to hear. It's breaking and coming.
Okay, okay. I think some network issues there.
Yeah.
So once these things were established, so what we did for the people who were under lockdown in their respective areas or respective residents, so we tied up with Apollo Health and Care in terms of telemedicine consultation free of cost for the family members and the employees whenever there is any need. So it was also proven very fruitful. So these types of things means in last 6-7 months we always carried out, and weekly we started review for 2 times a week for the situation, and mass testing, RT-PCR testing for about 10,000 employees we have done till date. And obviously after testing, many people were detected with COVID. Even means it was such a scenario in one of the offshore unit that entire people, means working crew, was detected with COVID. So they were immediately replaced by their relievers, and it was taken care very promptly. So these things proactive approach, timely execution of the things, then means senior management involvement, and from safety professionals always updating the management of the scenarios, current scenarios, and visualizing the future is the need of the hour which we had undertaken. So that's all from my side. Any question? So we will take question later on. Thank you so
We'll take
much.
the questions at the end, sir. Thanks a lot, Santosh sir, for that very nice presentation. You brought out very well, how you all worked for 2 days and 2 nights continuously to make the BCP. You also spoke in detail about the various COVID management centers that you have put up so effectively. So thanks for that very good presentation. I will now
Welcome.
welcome Saili to introduce our next esteemed speaker.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So our next speaker is Mr. Avnish Verma. He's Director Corporate EHS at Cipla Limited. Mr. Avnish sir has prior work experience in Strides Shasan Limited and Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited in the capacity of General Manager EHS. Mr. Avnish has also an immense and wide range of work experience in the field of EHS for more than 2 decades. So we are glad to have you here and we are honored. So now the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Sayali, and for inviting for the panel discussion. And so the topic is actually business continuity and safety role in that. So we have heard Mr. Thakur that what proactive actions are taken to make the business uninterrupted during the pandemic situation. And I think if I will repeat the same, it will not be good, because almost all the measures are taken in the supply also. Though there were one or two incidents of closure, or we can say the self closure for the 3-4 days, because the infection rate was going on, and it was high in some duration during the last 3-4 months. And then we have taken decision that we need to slow down our process, and first we need to sanitize and remove the slow down, not the close. And during that time period, we have removed the infection from the site, and then the normal occupancy was there. So a similar thing we have done. What if we see, due to pandemic, there is a difference in the mindset, because earlier if we see safety, health and environment is the one department. But if we see the condition of health section, it is the least in the industry. We were focusing on the health, we were focusing on the environment due to regulations. But the health condition was not so good. But after everybody is thinking about the health, and we are all of us are working towards the health improvement of the employees, so that nobody get infected, and we can continue our operations uninterrupted. In one or other way, everybody is working for the business continuity, but in the field of health only. Definitely, by getting the knowledge regarding the business continuity to these issues, now business continuity concept will grow in the industry, in each and every section also. These things are there, but these are in piecemeal. Like if we say cyber security, not there. And I'm sure that once this will get after this pandemic, those things will get arise in the industry. If we see due to pandemic, there is one more evolution is there, that is the digitization of each and everything. Means like we are speaking through digital platform. The studies are going through digital platform. Similarly, the data analytics has also evolved very much during this pandemic situation, because once there are some positive cases, then how many primary contacts are there, how many secondary contacts are there. So many platforms were developed for checking those things. So these actually, if you talk about the new normal, so new normal is nothing but it is the digital platform is the new normal, right? So if we talk about the business continuity little bit, then we should start from the business. So what is the business? Business is nothing but to check. Business is nothing but to earn the livings or make money by producing the goods or by delivering some services. And when we are talking about the business, it is nothing but it is an organization having the many people from the different field. Like marketing, sales, manufacturing, R&D, safety, quality, IT, project engineering, finance. These are the different sectors which establish a business. So why business continuity is required? Because possible disruptions are there, in the business, and if we can identify those disruptions, then it is possible that we can plug them and we can continue our business. As Mr. Thakur has told that this is actually a dynamic situation, it is not a fixed thing. But definitely we should have some guidelines so that we can have business continuity plan in place. So basic things which are interacting or as a threat to the business is like statutory non-compliance, disaster, natural or industrial disasters. Some incidents which are happening in the site, transportation interruptions, non-availability of raw material, scarcity of water supply, manpower, means natural resources. Quality complaints, if some come, then it is a business interruption. Then IT security breach, security threats and economical demand and supply threats. So these things are there, which majorly, there may be many more, but these are the major ones, which can contribute in the business interruption. And when we are talking about the true business continuity plan, all these interruptions should be taken care in under one umbrella through a apex level committee. So if you see where safety stand here, so safety stand with the help with respect to three risks, major risks at the site, which is statutory non-compliance, disasters, health-related issues, and environmental issues. These 3-4 things are there where the safety is involved. In one way or other way, it is also involved somewhere in transportation, but these 3-4 major areas are so as I think Sima ma'am, you have also told that ISO 2301 is there for business continuity. Similarly, NFPA 1600 we can apply for. And that will help to integrate all the actions for business continuity. Actually, if you see, business continuity brings various aspects like vendor program, safety, emergency response, risk assessment, sustainability, and recovery part also. That is very important. So when we are talking about actually business continuity, there are two things. One is to safeguard the process. I mean, something should not happen to the site or the process or the human being. And if there is a damage, then it should be minimized. Means the damage should be minimum. And third, if recovery should be fast, so that the interruption to the business very, very fast. We have not seen such interruptions in the real stages, but this pandemic situation has shown those interruptions, and those interruptions were taken care of very well, because when that public curfew was announced by the Prime Minister in the month of March. At that time, we have anticipated that there are full chances of shutting down the industry and closing all the operations. And we have started our meeting and to create the action plan, what to do and how to do and when to do. And that is why our API plants were not shut down for a single day during these 4-5 months. Due to that was in RB planning only. And because it is very difficult to shut down the API plant, because a startup and re-startup take time, 5 to 10 days minimum. So that's why we have not stopped. We have only slowed down the API plants. Formulation definitely we have stopped because it is very easy to start up the formulation. So this much is from my side. If any further question is there, I can take. Otherwise, we will take it.
If it opens up, then we can be able to provide.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Avnish Verma, thanks a lot for that very nice presentation. He brought out the importance of BCP in CIPLA. You brought out very well the role of safety and statutory non-compliances in environmental issues and in disaster management. And you also brought out how well your BCP has been doing and how not for a single day your API plants were shut down because of that. So thanks a lot. I'll now invite Saili to welcome our next esteemed speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So our fourth speaker for today's event is Mr. Stephen Philip Storey. He is SFG and Fire Consultant at RS Plus Limited. So sir has over 20 plus years of experience working with Larsen & Toubro, Samsung and ABB in the field of safety and environment. In 2018, he accepted the prestigious role as the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, first international ambassador for health and safety, supporting the awards from this excellent forum. We welcome you, sir, and we are honored to have you today in this discussion.
Good morning from the UK. Good afternoon to India. I hope everyone can hear me.
Good morning.
Okay, so
Good morning, sir.
thank you very much for the invitation for today and being on the panel. I'd like to say thank you to my fellow panelists and the people that are looking into this session. And I hope they're going to get as much out of it as possible that can help them in their day-to-day activities. Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategic planning and the elements of business continuity and recovery strategies. I'm also going to talk about how that dovetails into ISO 22301, which is the standard, and how safety professionals and how they're being relied on to help support that change, especially in the current situation with COVID. COVID is touching and impacting on every aspect of normal daily life, whether it be personal or business. Right across the globe, businesses are starting to reopen, but there is attempt is to ensure that when they open that they've got safe workplaces for their employees. For me, I've seen both sides of the coin. I left India on March the 31st. I finished my contract on the March the 31st, and I got back I was in the middle of the lockdown due to COVID, and I got back to the UK straight into another lockdown on April 20th on an embassy flight. I can tell you now, COVID has no visa, it has no passport, it is across the world, and it's affecting everyone exactly the same. So no one's exempt from it. There is no exemption from it. Okay, so safety people now they are now being relied on by senior people right up to board level to give advice to businesses on how to prepare and implement controls in regards to COVID. The importance of the safety professional has gone way high now, very way high, and that they are very, very important to the synergy of companies and being able to do business safely in this pandemic. So safety people are very, very important to the outcomes of what goes on. Who knows when it will finish? We don't know. But safety people are paramount in its success in the different changes that are coming up. It changes from one week to the next. They're keeping up with the information and the data from the health specialists and being able to put that into process to be able to control the pandemic. I now want to talk about the key elements of business continuity and recovery strategies. Now, I've got a short 10-point plan of what you should do in regards to planning for it. The first one, leadership management and commitment and direction and responsibilities. It starts from the top. The people at the top have got to give a clear policy of what the requirements are in continuity planning. So all the good companies have got a policy statement, which is signed by their senior executive, but their leadership and the responsibilities for everyone from the very, very top all the way down to the operations level need to be clearly understand what their responsibilities are. There needs to be program management and planning, set milestones, development, the implement strategy. So there needs to be a schedule of milestones of how you get to a position. Those milestones also move, as we quite rightly know, within the pandemic at the moment, when more information comes through, your planning has got to change also. There needs to be a business and threat assessment that's been recorded to understand your continuity strategy. So you need to know what your threats are to be able to implement your controls. It's very, very important that you identify your threats so you're able to actually give a clear understanding of what your controls are. You need to do business impact analysis to actually understand exactly what impacts are going to happen to your business if you don't implement those strategies. You need to look at resource needs assessment and budget development. Once you understand exactly what your strategy is, you need to understand what resources you require and what budget you require. Usually that has to get signed off by the very people at the top. But without those resources, you can't implement your strategy, you're left exposed. So when we're talking about resources, we're talking about people, we're talking about equipment, we're talking about IT equipment, and anything else that you need to actually implement your plans. You need to then have robust continuity and recovery strategies that are going to help you get up and running safely, and you're able to bring your people back into the business. As quite rightly, one of the panelists said that without your people, you have no business. So you have to make sure that your people are able to work safely to be able to implement a safe system of work that helps your business thrive and be able to survive in serious times when there needs to be a recovery. You need to do training, awareness, competence, and communication. Paramount in any successful plan. You must make sure that the people that are going to be involved with the implementation of the strategy are trained and be able to know how to do it. And their communication to everyone is paramount in making sure that this is a success. You need to monitor, you need to do tests, and you need to do exercises. This then enables you, when you don't have an incident or you don't have any problems, you should be continually looking to see if your system is working. And that is done by lots of tests and exercises into testing your system. And then finally, obviously, there's a review and update and continual improvement. Things change, people move on. You need to make sure that your plan is up to date and meets the purpose of what your requirements are. So how does this fit into the 22,301, which is the business continuity standard, and what are the benefits? The standard, if you've got 45,001 and you've got 14,001 and you've got 9,001, this standard has the high level structure that you can fit this system into it. Companies with multiple site locations can rely on the same consistent approach throughout the entire organization. So you get some uniformity of the way that you're planning. The ability to reassure clients, suppliers, regulators, and other stakeholders that the organization is sound and the systems and processes in place for business continuity are in place and they work. It gives improved business performance and organizational capability. It gives a better understanding of the business through analysis and critical issues, areas of vulnerability. You're able to understand where you have gaps and where you need to fill and control those. And the standard gives a clear, detailed view of how the organization operates, offering valuable insights that are useful for strategic planning, risk management, supply management, business transformation, and resource management. So what does this entail in regards being able to control what we're up against now in the scenario of planning for your situation? I'm just going to quickly go over some of the key areas. So contingency planning, what are the risks? Are they physical, financial, liability, or reputational? Who will manage it? Who's the leadership? Who are the technical resources? And what are their competence to be able to deliver that? Budget plan and resources, people, training, equipment, and technology needs to be in place to be able to successfully put this in place. Develop and test and monitor policies and procedures and plans. Then there's crisis response, incident management, how you raise the alarm and inform, how you resolve the incident immediately, save life and contain. Implement policies, procedures, and plans. How do you implement them the easiest and the most simplest way so everyone understands exactly what is in place? And how to manage wider implications, replications of incidents, and also obviously being on standby if there are any incidents. And then consolidation. So post-incident management and recovery. Investigate and document. You need to investigate to find out what went wrong so you can actually find out where you can improve so it doesn't happen in the future. Having an incident or having a problem and not rectifying it is as bad as having the incident in the first place. What went wrong? Report the findings and the lessons learned. Make sure that everyone in the organization, all your stakeholders, understand what went wrong so they understand where the improvements can be made. Update your policies and procedures and plans once you know exactly when went wrong and how you improve your current system. Then resuming normal life operations, business recovery plans, how you've got back into being in the position. These may be in place for a very long time. This pandemic, we don't know when it will finish, but you will have these plans in place for a very long time until such time as you feel you've gone back to more normality. And then obviously leadership, internal communication, updating stakeholders, and also very much media interaction. If you have a major incident, regardless of what it is, there is a good possibility that you're going to have the media at your doorstep asking you questions of what happened and how you recovered from it. You've got to make sure that the people that are going to interact with the media have the training and have the competence to be able to talk and discuss important and quite severe incidents to your organizations to media outlets. And believe me, it does happen. If you have a major incident, they'll be there asking questions and you need to be prepared. All I'd like to say now is that okay, we're in a tough time. We're in very tough times. I see and I keep in contact with a lot of my colleagues in India. You're doing an amazing job. I think the whole world is trying to do an amazing job, but we need to be vigilant, and then we need to make sure that we are on, that we stay ahead of everything, that we don't let our guard down, and that we make sure that we are prepared for anything. And remember, anything can happen at any time, so you've got to make sure you've been prepared. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much. I've made it very, very short and sweet. I wanted to be very strategic in what I was done, but thank you very much, and I appreciate giving this opportunity to discuss this specialist and very important field. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. Thank you for that very nice presentation. You presented on all the elements of the business continuity planning, from leadership to media relations. Every important aspect was covered in your brief. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Saili,
yes,
our next esteemed speaker.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So our next speaker for today's event is Mr. Shanmugam Natarajan. He's the regional EHS manager at Caterpillar. With over 14 years of experience in EHS in automobile sector, heavy engineering, construction, and process industries, Sir has worked on various portfolios like behavior-based safety, safety culture transformation, monitoring EHS performance, EHS projects for sustainable growth, developing EHS team for effective EHS management. Sir, we welcome you all, and the floor is all yours to share your experience.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and I would like to thank NITIE for giving this opportunity. And I would also like to thank my fellow friends who have been sharing their experiences. And once again, NITIE, thanks a lot for this mutual sharing experiences. Thank you. So today's topic was role of safety in business continuity. So what I thought is maybe let me start the session with my personal experience, what I had some 14 years before in one of my earlier organization where I was working. So suddenly there was an explosion where there were 2 fatalities, and the next day when I went into the facility, it was totally something like a bad situation prevailing over there. So maybe that situation made me to really understand, from that day onwards, I started taking exercise, and this COVID is teaching us now, so to take the document back and see where we are really doing on our business continuity. So to start off with the experience, what we were having in Caterpillar on this COVID-19. So I remember somewhere during first or second week of February, so we started having the first discussion when the cases slowly started spreading from China to Europe and other parts of the world. And I think at that time, 1 or 2 cases were reported in India. And it has more narratives and very few deliverables, and their plan normally lacks details, what is required. So as EHS professionals, if you are being championing the business continuity plan in your organization, you have to keep in mind, so as Steve said, the elements of the business continuity plan, what is required. So you have to make it very clear and what is required for your business. In other words, to make it very simple, so it is harnessing the business with business continuity plan. So maybe you people might have already studied about just trying a safety net when someone works at an height. So the safety net it's not just like the tied somewhere below the work platform. So there is some technical science behind it. So it's all the distance between the working platform, the safety net, and how securely you anchor the safety net. What is the projection from the work platform and the safety nets at the sites, and what is the distance between the safety net and the floor. The same way, your business continuity plan should have the required elements, what is required. And it should not be too deep to taking into all minor details which may not be required. So as EHS professionals, so when you're working with the BCP plan, business continuity plan, you have to ensure that what is required for the business and what is required to run the key business, this is what is required. So now, even now in Caterpillar, if you see, hardly 40 to 50% of the employees only comes to work, but we still run the business, which means only production, maintenance, and other allied support persons go to work and they do the work, and rest of the people still continue to work from home and support the business. So your business continuity plan should also have space to accommodate such requirements also. And one more clear understanding is what is required is, first thing is, of course, the topic for today is role of safety in business continuity. Yes. The second thing, what we have to understand is role of safety professionals in business continuity. And nowadays, it is very clear the role of safety in business continuity. Yes, every management, they understand role of safety in business continuity is very important. Even a couple of months before, when we were doing all this business continuity plans and trying to support the facilities, so we have all our country EHS representatives been called by our CEO for a virtual meeting, and he appreciated the job what we are doing during this pandemic. So the management is understanding the requirement of safety in business continuity. But the real question comes, the role of safety professionals in business continuity, because I have seen when discussing with various safety professionals whom I have come across during these months. So it is mostly their HR who does the business continuity, and the safety professional doesn't have any role in business continuity. And they still continuing their doing some inspection. As safety professionals, we have to proactively take up and we have to discuss with our management and decide upon. And next one is what we can also learn from this is something, a value stream based mapping. So something like trying to give the accountability to the section managers or the area supervisors and ask them to drive the safety activities so that we drive the accountability from those supervisors, which can make safety as a core job and not as just a safety officer's job. So this is what I have in very brief. So if you have any questions, you can let me know, please.
Thank you, Mr. Shanmugam. We'll take the questions at the end for everybody together. Now, you had brought out beautifully the balance needed between emergency preparedness and BCP. You also brought out how you could manage by closing the plant only for 4 to 5 days with very good BCP systems in place, despite many of your processes being manual processes. So thanks a lot for that very good presentation. Saili, I get you to introduce the next esteemed speaker, please.
Yes, ma'am. So our next speaker is Mr. Balaji Gurumurthy. He's the head of health and safety at JSW. So Mr. Balaji, sir, is recognized as one of the 2018 Global 30 Under 30 Emerging Leaders in Sustainable Business.
To represent the entire alumni fraternity of NITIE, I think because of this great institution, we have so many people like me, hundreds of people, thousands of people, students who have reached far in their careers. And all is this because of this great institution, professors, directors, the administrators. I think I'm just not just saying this in words, because even in practical, this 8 years after NITIE, I could see that, just a quick, before I get into the topic, I think NITIE gives all the students the liberty to kind of own up the things. There are lots of forums, lots of committees. You never see any kind of no or anything from the management or the professors. I think that entrepreneurship is budding. I mean, it is being sold at that level, student level. I think it is more, that is one point which we want to highlight NITIE, where the students get that entire free hand. Second is it is more inclusive, I would say. I think probably one of the institutions which most of the economic people from different backgrounds can afford and can study. I think that is something which NITIE has tried to maintain. I think it is lots of interest subsidies given to the scholarship, and all that is given to the students of lower economic category. Even I was one of the beneficiary of that, actually. So that was one of the reasons that it was possible for me to access to education at that time. So that is more, I think, specific to NITIE compared to IIMs and all the top B schools. It's more inclusive, more entrepreneurial, more liberty to the students. I think everything you guys do, right? I mean, like you have the freedom to do. I think that is more right from placements to organizing these sessions. I think it's wonderful support by the professors. I just want to thank them. We all talk about COVID warriors. Of course, we want to thank them as well, who are the frontline workers during the COVID situation. I think professors are the frontline, frontline people in our life, actually. They teach us what to do. I think rarely we get an opportunity to kind of thank them in a forum. I think they also don't seek those kind of limelight anytime. They're always there, happy to be a ladder where people climb going, and they're very happy to see it. I think it is very rare in a corporate world. Frankly, of course, there are people who are kind of with a large heart, but I think professors are the ones who kind of are the frontline people for a life. Teachers, professors in schools and colleges. I think with this, I will go into the topic. I think with all these esteemed speakers speaking ahead of me makes my job a little more difficult to kind of add on value to this forum. I think we have more than 100 and 150 students listening to it. I think one point, I don't want to repeat any of these points made by these gentlemen. I think most of them are stalwarts in their fields, in their sectors. I have heard them in other forums as well. I think it is wonderful to hear from all of them. Thanks to all of them to kind of share this platform. I want to touch upon the increased investor attention to safety. Because when we raise the money for the business, any corporate, wherever we are there, we raise money in terms of equity or debt. But typically, equity is raised from DFIs, institutional investors, share markets. Similarly, debt is raised from the bonds. Companies, corporates issue bonds. Corporate takes loan from a bank. So, be it equity or debt, when we raise funds, the investors, the financial institutions, nowadays, especially for last 3-4 years, in fact, after COVID, the graph is only increasing, where we could see that everyone, this is a condition of the loan. I mean, I could see it is one of the loan covenant which the borrower as a corporate, we will sign off saying that I think ESG, larger ESG, but I want to focus on more safety is coming into that limelight in the ESG covenants, which is there in the loan agreement. I could quote number of examples, especially in recent after the pandemic, where the larger banks, be it ING, be it Barclays, where hundreds of millions of dollars are given to, say, manufacturing sectors, have these specific clauses on safety, sustainability, ESG. Basically, it is a new, for example, if we just restrict this example to a debt, the company is going for a loan to bank. Now, especially in Western countries, European countries, there is something called the sustainability linked loan. I think in this forum, I can even say it's the safety linked loan. It is not yet come. Probably I want to write and see if we could have an article around it so that the students and journal can be kind of take that as a kind of thing. Because there is something called the sustainability linked loan, where these parameters like safety, labor, human rights, all those are integrated. How that works, actually, this is just interesting to know how it works, right? For example, if a corporate, say a steel company or a, say, a mining company, even a pharma company for that matter, if they are raising funds from a bank at a, say, interest rate of, say, 6%, the loan agreement says if you are performing well in those 5 or 6 parameters which it's agreed upon, safety parameters, environmental parameters, ESG, governance parameters, etc., so your interest rate comes down. What I was trying to say is there is an incentive for cheaper loans, and how the safety can contribute, especially in these pandemic times where there is a business continuity kind of a dialogue, how safety, enhancing the safety becomes the starting point of dialogue of any investors. Be it stock markets. There are stock markets, I could say half a dozen stock markets across the world who kind of mandate these, measuring these impacts across the companies to be listed in their stock exchange. So there were researchers, which is recently published in US as well, where the share prices of the companies against the benchmark index is related to the safety performance of those companies. How safety performance of the companies, how companies who are performing good in ESG safety issues tend to give more returns to the shareholders, even at the equity level. So even at a debt level, we are seeing instruments, financial instruments like loan product, risk guarantees, where the banks are giving a loan, playing a role of a catalyst, where the corporates performing well in these parameters get an incentive, get a risk guarantee. So bank will take a risk guarantee on you actually. So which means those are the things which is coming up. I'm sure, I think there are new credit lines which is being given by World Bank, Proparco, FMO, DEG. These are the international DFIs, developmental financial institutions, which are investing in developing countries like India, other South Asian countries, where these covenants on safety becomes the starting point of the discussion in these. So last week I was with an investor forum. So I mean, we'd see the investor presentation happening every quarter. So last 2 quarters, when I was there in the investor call, so I could see the first discussion is safety. So I think COVID, there was lots of negatives about COVID. We have all learned, we have lost our loved ones. But I think one thing is, I think the safety has become more mainstream at every function, not just on investor finance. I'll also give you a couple of examples on other areas as well. I think even central banks, like we have a Reserve Bank of India. Similarly, central banks of half a dozen countries, say Italy has come up with something last month, where there is a policy at a country level by the central bank saying that we can't issue a loan. No banks can issue a loan to a company performing poorly on safety. So I'm just, of course, there are clauses on environment as well, but just restricting to myself to safety. I think these stock exchanges, like I told you, at least half a dozen stock exchanges, we have sustainability as a core criteria to be listed. rating agencies, be it Standard & Poor, Dow Jones, Morgan, MSCI. So rating agencies are now coming to the forefront. See, lots of pension funds, asset managers who are managing trillions of money. Basically, for them, where to deploy those 100 trillion of money which is there in our hand, safety is what it is decided. Safety has become the one of the, not just the financial returns. They know that the game has changed far too much in this COVID. What works before COVID will not going to work after COVID. So I think that has come into mainframe in terms of fundraisings. I think I also want to touch upon one or two other kind of business functions, which is now safety has come into the limelight. I think, I think one of our esteemed panelists was talking about the product safety. I think the life cycle approach, the second point which I want to drive home is the life cycle approach of safety. I think how right from the design stage to the operations, packaging, delivery, and probably sometimes the end of cycle recycling, how these safety has to be integrated at every point. About the products. How do we do a LCA for environmental impact? Similarly, I think we should now look at LCA kind of thing where we integrate safety in the life cycle into the value chain. So, for example, if we are, if we are into energy business, we are finding a location for constructing windmill. So I think, of course, there are lots of environmental issues which we all take care of before we select a location for a project. Now it's also time to look at safety issues, not only to the human beings around, community around, but also, say, for example, we are having the large towers constructed, be it for telecom, be it for windmill, wind energy. There is a lots of birds affected. There is a migratory. So there is increased attention. That's what I want to drive home in terms of safety to the biodiversity, also in terms of constructing a plant, constructing a tower in the path of the migratory bird, which have their seasonal kind of migration. So I think those are also the factors which is coming into the mainstream now. I think that is my second point in terms of life cycle approach. Third is, I think, the supply chain safety. I think all these bigger corporates like us, I think most of us in this panel, especially in a country like India, developing countries, we have to start thinking beyond the operations on safety. How do we ensure the safety of the suppliers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? We all know about Rana Plaza tragedy. So if a Puma or H&M, nothing against any of the specific brands, but I think it is a responsibility of a bigger corporate before we outsource to a contractor or a vendor who supplies us. It is our responsibility to ensure the safety. Basically, to give that extra margin for them. Ultimately, what happens? The Rana Plaza, the supplier who was a very small time suppliers who could not have a margin to give good working condition to the workers, to the tailors, to the women. Close to 2,000 women died in that tragedy, right? The building collapse. So I think it is time to behave more responsibly in terms of the supply chain as well. What do we do within the operations is not going to be sufficient, especially in this pandemic time. So there is a migration of workers. Maybe very few in bigger corporates where we have our own townships. We make sure that all the workers are within the township to make sure that they're working for us. I think about the MSMEs who are giving us the small parts, who are giving us the packaging materials. I think there's a lots of migrations. People have gone back to their villages. Now they're coming back. What happens is the safety gets sometimes compromised because there's always a turnover of the workers. So for example, if you have 1,000 workers in a factory, because of the migration, there is a new set of 1,000 workers. So every time you have to start a safety induction, you have to make sure that they are known the high risk areas. I think it is time to, the complacency will come in because we think about the losses, we think about recovering our revenues. I think, of course, all of us are going through tough times. I think it's time to be make safety as a core value rather than a priority. I think priorities change. value does not change. I think safety should be a value for all of us, not only in the operation, but also to the supply chain. I think that is the third point I want to bring in. I think fourth point, I think for the marketing students, I think I covered the strategy, life cycle approach, supply chain. Now the marketing students, see, at least in my recent days, in last 6 months after the COVID, we see how safety is used as a marketing tool. So see, it's not that it was not there before, but now it is becoming the core factor of marketing. Like how we see right from the paint ad, you watch IPL, we see the there was a car, Altros, Tata Altros. There was an ad which comes up which says it's a gold standard in safety. So basically, it's the safety is used as a marketing tool in many of the companies. Be it paint company, now they are talking about antiviral, antibacterial coating, painting. So they talk about the safety aspects of their product. Similarly, plywoods which we buy, now they are talking about plywoods which is COVID friendly. I mean COVID free. I mean you don't have the antiviral resistant. So plywood coated, even the sheets which we buy for tents. I think all the different products, right from paints to plywoods to coating, even the cars, I think rarely find, especially in developing countries where the safety is projected as a gold standard and projected as a first point of selling. I think the sales and the marketing is also trying to take safety as a competitive advantage to survive in this market. I think that is also another point which is coming up. I think how, as a safety guys, I mean, as a marketing professional, I would say from our college, how you can contribute, how can you use the safety to get more sales, new products, new product development, coming up with new business revenues. You have seen lots of paint companies now just moving into a sanitizer. It's just a similar. So you have to just reconfiguring the shop floor, conveyors. How the companies are taking up, say, ventilator manufacturing. So how the safety becomes the driver of new business development. I think that is the way probably I would recommend the students to kind of think about before they join the company. How the finance guys, how your NITIE operations guys, how can you leverage these aspects to get into more efficiency and effectiveness, new business generation, etc. I think my last point, I think, would be that how CSR. I think again, I'm very close to the MSMEs and small businesses. I mean, those are the things that's close to my heart personally. I think how a bigger corporates, it's now how we use CSR budgets to improve safety in the MSMEs. So I have worked around, say, 50,000 MSMEs over the last 7 years. So what do you need is, I think, the hand-holding. See, bigger companies have the safety management systems. We have resources, we have trainers, we have equipments, we have PPEs. Leave about COVID in any other high-risk areas, which is, think about a foundry in the outskirts of, say, Ludhiana or a Jalandhar, where they are just working on a metal product. They are just meeting their livelihoods. But if I go and visit them, they are supplying to all the big names in the world. So how do we as a bigger companies contribute through the CSR aspects? We have a CSR budget. There is a provision in Schedule 7, Section 135 of Companies Act, talking about preventive health care. How can we use our CSR to kind of encourage the MSMEs on safety? See, basically what happens, if the MSMEs are, there are 2-3 ways of making them, I think. One is they supply to the European buyers. They have these responsible care. They have this reach. They have these basic requirements to do business. So those, now things are kind of getting it at that customer level. Especially in MSMEs who are working within the countries, within the developing countries, need a lot of hand-holding. It's not that we want to give them the money and I think they will, it's not about giving the money actually. It's giving the hand-holding them actually. Probably they have the will, sometimes they also have the resources, but they don't know what to do. I think what to do is something the bigger corporates can guide in terms of workshops, giving them how the safety, environmental issues in their factories can improve the productivity, how these things can even make them export to multiple bigger countries, US, Europe, how they can be more competitive. I think those are the aspects I think probably is the need of the hour in terms of the safety. I think most of the things I've covered more in terms of this thing in strategy, supply chain safety, marketing, CSR as a tool. Especially, I just want to end. I mean, I just want to kind of come back to the new normal. I think crisis does not build a character; it reveals it. I mean, that is what I could say. I think all of us, like I told you, in our personal lives or academic people, students, or even the professionals, we all have faced tough times. We are facing tough times. I think crisis is something which is it should only build our character. I think that another thing is the optimism is the true moral courage. I think the courage and the optimism, these are the qualities all of us need now more than ever, because we are trying to kind of shape the new normal. We don't know how it will be. That's what Mr. Thakur told. We don't know what is going to happen. So I think optimism and the courage and the resiliency to absorb the shock, come better out of the competition. I think it's about the competition now, because like I told, there's lots of the companies, we're all facing bottom line issues. There is no free money here. We are all kind of the ROI invested in every aspect of business is measured on an hourly basis. It's not about, there's no time to relax. We all have to multiply the productivity at individual levels, at the company level, at the site level, business level, even as a country level, because to come back to the new normal, to get back the GDP which we have lost, to get back the revenue which we have lost, I think rethinking, especially for the students, I think rethinking the way their functions could, be it marketing, like I told you, be it design, people who would go into strategy, supply chain, marketing, finance, all these people should think about how they can integrate these aspects, safety aspects, in their businesses to kind of improve the bottom line, create revenue, rebuild the operations for operations people, coming into new products, recovering the revenue. I think adoption of technology and automation is something which is going to be fully supporting the new normal. I think we could see the digital learning, digital skilling. I think reskilling is required, because now we can't say that we are just in safety, we can't do sales. We are just in safety, we can't do environment. So we are in EHS, we can't do the sales part. So you have to do the operations. So how companies are pursuing a broad reskilling agenda. I think I want to emphasize on this to the student fraternity, that we all have to be open to contribute to our companies, our institutions, in our lives as well, in wherever way possible. It can't be anymore the departments. It's not that ICM and IM will have different.
Continuance. So for which, wherever there is a intensive danger involved, hazards involved, there we have very comprehensive legislation. These are all for a particular industry. If you just go through our Constitution of India, in the union list, the safety of the mine workers are placed under the central subject. But if you go for the factories, that is in a concurrent list, especially I think it is item number 36. So wherever there is a stringent legislation and it is being implemented by the industry as well as by the government agency, you don't have to bother much about the business discontinuity, because the things are already in place. Lot many people, they have died. From their death, we learned a lot. We made the regulations, and those things are being followed. And further, when there is no comprehensive legislation, then these things are left to the industry. Because sometimes even we have 3 regulations. One is for the coal mine regulation, another one is a metal mine regulation, the third one is oil mine regulation. As the danger is more there in the coal mines, we have the inundations, we have explosions. Because you see the history of the coal mine disasters, hundreds of people that die, especially the Chasnella. It happens in, I think, in 1970, Chasnella colliery, almost 235 persons they lost their life due to the explosion and further inundation of the mine. People could not be just rescued out. So there we learn a lot and we make the legislation. And further it is being implemented. But as far as the metal mines are concerned, there we do not have a much danger as it is. There the things are normally left to the owner of the mine or the operators. There you have to have your own in-house things because normally the law hold you responsible for any such lapses or to the accidents. So in such a places, you have to have your own in-house effective plan. And for this, normally we suggest to the industry is to go for the national or international standards. Because you don't have to again and again reinvent the wheels. The things are already there, just to follow it. One such example is this OSHA's 18001 and our business continuity management plan are all part of this. This one thing I just wanted to say to the safety professionals in business continuity is always keep in mind the Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong, that will definitely go wrong. I was associated with the Indian Air Force also for almost 15, 16 years. I would like to say one incident which just happened with me. In early 90s, we were in one of the forward air base. We were just undergoing a war exercise. These are all the mock exercises. So that time, suddenly we had an inspection from our air headquarters. So the gentleman, he just came out. I had under me, there was 3 Mirage 2000 aircrafts. I have to arm it and have it equipped. So all of a sudden, one gentleman, he came. He just asked, he's a person who was to check our operational readiness and grade us. Then he said that these are all the configuration I need, so kindly load this aircraft. Then we were just gathering the equipment and we were mobilizing the manpower. He said that such and such equipment is destroyed by the enemy bombing. What we are going to do that? Then we thought we had always a plan B. Then we went for the plan B. He said that is also destroyed. Then we went blank. Almost literally, we were awarded a 0 preparedness during that particular point of time. Then finally he said that your job is not to end with plan A, plan B. So here again, that is also business continuity. The business of Indian Air Force was to go for the war at any cost, because if you don't do it, you get killed. From that, I just understood one thing. So it's the duty of every safety professional or as an engineer, even from the design stage itself, you have to think all those things. Even if you take our small mobile phone, the people, it is designed in such a way, even a man who is not educated, he cannot insert the SIM in a wrong way. So this is how the engineering controls are. So it is a duty of the safety professionals to look into this level, Murphy's Law level. Even having said that, you may be surprised to know that hardly few industries work on 6 Sigma level. That is, one is the Indian aviation industry and another one is a Bombay Dabbawala. The 6 Sigma, roughly saying, you have it, you have almost you have a luxury of committing 4 mistakes in a million cycle. Even after maintaining that, we lose our men. There are deaths, there are air accidents still taking place. So anything which is happening in your industry, because whatever the industry you go, you be in a supply chain management or production or in operation or anything else, every job or every industry is definitely coming under some sort of an act, a rules, a regulation. Anything which happens to the human being is definitely being looked into very seriously by the government of India, and it is going to have a very serious repercussions. But as far as the safety professionals are concerned, my experience, it says they are in staff functions, they are in line functions. But we have to have in between a mixed one. They sometimes operate in silos. It should not be. As it was rightly pointed out by Mr. Shanmugam, the safety professionals normally they do not mingle with us other than talk to them. Please try to stand in other man's shoe. Please talk to the finance persons, because make them understand, because nobody ever want or go for a business discontinuity. As you are aware, because you are expert in your own professional way, you have to just make them understand that. But as it was rightly pointed out by earlier speakers, this safety management plan or our business continuity plan, these things are well made and kept in Almira. Hardly it is being implemented. But it is a duty of the safety professional you have to percolate down those knowledge and the seriousness to the downmost level. Otherwise, hardly one or two persons in the safety department are heading it. You just can't do it. The person who is sitting in the safety department is only to you have to be a bridge between the regulatory, the external bodies, and to your organization. So if you are going to be held responsible for the entire things, that is not justifiable. Your duty is to educate everyone and make them accountable. As earlier I just mentioned, there was a saying when in Indian Air Force, when I was having that very bad experience, finally the gentleman said that, gentlemen, in war, there is no silver medal. Either you win or you die. I just little bit I modify it because I had experience of almost around 5 years in the mines as well as 8 years here in the mine safety department. In safety also, you do not have any silver medal. Either you have the gold medal or you go for the business discontinuity. Kindly the participant, those who are here in the DIM as well as in the ISCM classes, think in that way. If you're in a production line, if you're an operation line, it doesn't mean that you are free from all those safety and other things. You'll be held responsible for this. So let us be aware and let us just follow that. And one more thing, I just forgotten to say that. Another thing the regulatories are now becoming very strong and taking the shots are the environmental issues. Kindly correct me if I am wrong. I think we have 6 environmental laws in India, especially the National Green Tribunal. They are very stringent. And from my point of view, I am telling gentlemen, if there is any death or any immediate and urgent danger to the human being, we in the government of India, we don't see the business continuity. We just don't bother about this because as far as we in the government of India is concerned, the human safety is much more important. Kindly keep that in mind. It may sound now it is easy, but I saw the persons, those who were associated with some of the accident and saw the after effects of it. Even though he is not directly held responsible for it, the man is never going to be same after the accident. Definitely his morale is getting affected and his efficiency definitely goes down. So the best way is just to go for the compliance of the safety. Whether you understand it, don't understand, if there is any regulation, there is rules, there is some acts, just follow it. And definitely this is going to help you in your business continuity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arumugam, sir, for that very wonderful presentation. It was, like you told us all the intricacies of the mining sector. You brought out the importance of business continuity through safety compliances. So thanks a lot, sir. I would also like to thank Balaji. In between, sorry, my connectivity got disrupted. So Balaji, it's always a joy and pleasure to hear you. So, as always, even today, we heard you with a lot of pride and happiness. And you brought out very well the importance of increased investor attention to safety. You brought out the need for LCA approach and also for the need of sustainable supply chains and the importance of sustainable supply chains. Thanks for that wonderful presentation, Balaji. Sorry, I got disconnected in between. We will
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, we will have a small question and answer session now. I will first ask one question, and after that, I'll keep the floor open for the audience to ask questions. So my question, any of the panelists can answer, is the first question is, what are the best practices you have put in place in the management of safety and BCP? And how did the pandemic help you in strengthening these? I'll repeat it. What are the best practices put in place for the management of safety and business continuity in your organization? How did the pandemic help you in strengthening your business continuity plan? Any one of you can speak about it. Any example that you can think of?
So I will take a lead here and I'll talk about that. This is Thakur here.
Yes, please, Mr. Thakur.
Yeah, so in management system, when we frame our documents around the processes and system, it can strive or can get an attention when you have a strong governance. And
yes.
Governance aspect will come with involvement of cross-functional leaders, and they participate into the review mechanism. So pandemic when we took lead as a team to demonstrate that how best it can be better for the organization, it actually was an untrust moment for us. When you have an untrust moment and respect from all the function leader, that's the leverage. We have to bring them on the table and have a discussion and show them a perspective of all type or different type of a risk. So with this specific element, that when there is a crisis and you get into that crisis to solve it and you get in a success, you have an opportunity to also take a buy-in. So I can give you an example with this entire activity of BCP planning. We were able to bring people on the table and showcase them the future risk and strengthen the governance mechanism by setting up a safety, we call it a SHE and Sustainability Council. And in the first meeting itself, we got approval of 95 crore rupees investment into safety improvement on processes, hardware, and the future risk. But we agreed that this investment will be made in a phase-wise manner, because we know that our bandwidth is not that much.
Mr. Thakur, can you please put on your video?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, because we knew that we cannot, activate everything in one single year when you have a money in hand. And we also agreed that every quarter we'll have the meeting and discussion and review the implementation plan basis that specific, the implementation we are going to have in place. And in the same sort of a governance forum or a platform, we were able to clear our goals for sustainability for next decade and incorporate safety seamlessly in all verticals or pillar of the organization, right? So we call it sustainability by design. And also incorporate, as Balaji highlighted, as a core value to the business. And to give them a perspective that every single person in the organization is a safety leader if they demonstrate the right set of practices. And another thing which we have also able to create a center of excellence and success. This is the success of the COVID time. What we've established is to get a buy-in of the organization to create a SHE and Sustainability University for the organization. Because we believe that if you have to sustain system practices and governance, you have to build a strong capability in the organization, so that even if you're not there, the educational institute will take the journey forward. So that university is going to shape the dimension right from the day one of anybody joining the organization, how the safety and sustainability will ingrain into their jobs. That work will be taken care by, or that activity will be taken care by that university. At the same time, we were able to channelize the long due agenda of sustainability ambassadorship program. And just a week ago, I have presented this case to the board of directors, and they have given a thumbs up and a good thumping in terms of backing this entire program. And now the objective is that these 400 ambassadors so far we have in field of sustainability in 6 dimension areas, how we can scale it up to 4,000 in a 1 year time. So I would say COVID, I have encashed the COVID time very, very significantly, because this helped me giving me a win on all the aspects for the next 5 years. And I strongly believe, and the message to everyone in this call, people who are listening on the side and who are going to start their future in a year's time or 6 month time, be a person who is jumping into the fire, even if you don't know how to douse the fire, right? If you are the early mover, you will get an advantage, you will have a setback, but at the same time, you will know how you can come out of it also. If it is burning you a lot, come out of it. If you know how to douse it, then you are the winner. So, and again, I will repeat, early mover give you the leverage to earn trust and try to get into crisis situation as frequent as possible with the right set of processes as explained by Steve in a very systematic manner, so that you can channelize all the resources accordingly. That's what is my thought process. I hope I'm able to answer your question. This is what is my
wonderful answer. That was a very wonderful answer. Would anyone else like to speak about it?
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, obviously, when planning for this pandemic, obviously in your risk assessment, you look at your social distancing, you look at your good hygiene, you look about preventing transmission, you look at test and monitoring, you look at protecting vulnerable workers, and obviously the training. But one thing that really did come out was the mental health and well-being of people through this pandemic. Making sure you keep people up to date and they're reassured, you know, regular meetings and calls, discussing fatigue and making sure they have regular breaks, and setting working hours to prevent working long hours. The pressure on people's mental health through this is huge. It's massive. I'm kind of talking from the UK now. I'm sure it's right across the globe. But I found out that looking and trying to understand people's mental health in being isolated, not having to prepare for the not normal way of doing things, is a real massive impact within all industries. So that was one thing that came out. I mean, this is all covered when you do your risk assessment for the controls for COVID. One of the areas that you really need to tap into is making sure that you take into consideration the mental health and well-being of your employees.
Thank you, Mr. Steve, for that wonderful answer. Anyone else would like to speak on it before we move on to the next question? I request the audience to put your questions either in the chat box or the question and answer box. Meanwhile, I'll ask the next question. What kind of innovations, especially in future, that you feel is needed to ensure continuous running of your plants? What kind of innovations in your business continuity plan or in your safety management systems that you foresee that can ensure continuous running of your plants? It could be a mine also, sir. It could be any industry also.
Yeah, so I'll again talk about it, and because this is something very close to my heart, is something
Sure.
Because we believe in invent and simplification. So I think one specific thing which is going to transform the industry and also safety and sustainability is digitalization. The industry 4.0, because it's a game changer, and I'm not sure every industry has leveraged or seen the fruit of it. I've seen last panel discussion presentation of Steve, where he has showcased that how beautifully he implemented digitalization in the industry, and that was 2 years back. And I have taken a cue from there and made sure that it is seamlessly integrated along with the operation excellence and in our digitalization journey. So that's something which is actually going to be a new stepping stone in the era of predictive analysis and modeling, which can help in prediction of all aspects, whether it is safety risk, health issues, environmental risk. So that is something which I see is going to be something very new and different as an innovation point of view.
Thank you, Mr. Thakur, for that wonderful answer. Anybody else would like to speak on innovation?
Yes, ma'am. It's
Yes.
rather than on innovations, there are a lot many safety management plan we just gone through. So these are all to reduce the risk and to avoid the business discontinuity. But one thing I just noticed is one point missing is we just focus on the process, we just focus on the methodology, we focus on the available resources. But we always fail to look into the main thing, that is a human. Because in my past experience, wherever I conducted the fatal accident inquiries and other things, the man who involved in the accident or the cause of the accident was the best man. It was never expected of him. Because one thing I just come across is the most unreliable and unpredictable component in any of the system is a human. So when we make the safety management plan and other things, we always fail to take into consideration. So in the coming days, we have to innovate some methodology to include the psychologists so that the human behavior, the predicted human behavior is also taken into the system. So that is a major contributing factors. If I see any of the accidents which led to the business discontinuity is due to the human error. So those errors also need to be addressed into that. So we have to have some kind of a system to introduce or bring into the safety management plan or business continuity management. We have to bring into this. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, Mr. Arumugam. Professor Murthy, in fact, will be happy with your,
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah,
Sir.
I agree with you, Mr. Armugam. Some problem.
Murthy, there's an echo from your mic.
Yeah, I think so.
Mr. Arumugam sir, Professor Murthy is our behavioral-based safety expert. And what you mentioned about human error, I knew he's going to react.
No, it's not react. I'm happy that people are thinking that that human factor is missing. In fact, sorry for the echo.
Seema ma'am, can you go on mute, please?
Yes, yeah, sure.
Okay, now it's hello. Yeah. Sorry for this.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with you, Shankar Murthy, sir. Because what happens when we go for the fatal accident, when we see the accident site, you lose sleep. You lose sleep. It's not that one man who died and there is a business discontinuity. एक परिवार सड़क पे आ जाता है. मतलब literally, it's a human. Death is not new to me. I fought a war. I know what is death is. I lifted enough number of dead bodies. Anyone who is here can fathom. But still, that is everything is fair in love and war. But this is not a love. This is not a war. They are in a business.
Yes, sir. Basically, what I wanted to say is, that factory is included now, like along with whatever the conventional safety methods we have. BBS is now a part of the safety system, which is used to reinforce whatever the conventional safety systems we have in place. Seema, I am audible?
Yes, Murthy. Now we are audible.
Okay. So therefore, this was not there about 5-10 years back, but now this is the thinking of new generation managers who are taking into account the human factor. And by implementing BBS, definitely we can reduce, like according to statistics, the accidents by 98%. Of course, 88 plus the condition, that is the safety conditions also can be improved. We can definitely reduce accidents more than 90%. So that's what.
Thank you, sir.
I'm really, thank you for that.
I have a question from the audience now. What new skill set would you recommend to the student fraternity to improve their productivity to organizations? I'll repeat it. What new skill set would you recommend to the student fraternity to improve their productivity to organizations? This is from the audience.
Yes, ma'am, I would like to say a few words.
Yes, please.
Be disciplined, whether somebody watches or don't watch us. And be true to yourself and true to your profession. These are all the two things. Definitely, if you see my life, I came from grassroots level. These things which brought me up to this level, you just can't imagine. Really, I came literally from a grassroots level. From ground level, I just rose. I was a mere technician in Indian Air Force after my diploma in 1988. Now I could rise up to this level. It is purely due to the truthfulness to yourself. Whether somebody watches or not in the industry or anywhere, be true to yourself. Be disciplined. If it is 930 hours, you have to be there whether somebody is there or not. These are all going to give a lot of values. Normally, these soft skills and these things are not taught in the universities. There are many things we talk about, the other skills and everything, but there is no replacement for these three. Work hard. Plus, please do not copy somebody's work. Be disciplined. Be true to yourself. Be true to your profession. Definitely, this brings a lot of rewards to you, and definitely you will see the height of your life.
Thank you, sir. That's an important, learning for all the students. I'll now take the next question from the students. What do you think is more feasible for business continuity? Zero accidents vision or accidents happen approach? I'll repeat it. What do you think is more feasible for business continuity? Zero accidents vision or accidents happen approach? This is by the student Arpit. It is addressed to all the participants, all the panelists.
I'll try to take an attempt or make an attempt to answer this question. For me and my companies believe neither of these. We believe in continual improvement. That's a third dimension I would like to add. So wherever you are, you know where is your true north. but try to look into the continual improvement, because there can be a possibility you may achieve zero immediately in 1 year with a lot of effort. But if you are not able to sustain it, you will fall flat. So for bringing the sustenance and reaching to the true north, continuous improvement is very, very important aspect. Continuous improvement in your design, when you're designing or drafting your processes, continuous improvement in terms of execution, continuous improvement in terms of review, and continuous improvement in terms of rework. It's like a closed loop system. So I think continuous improvement mindset is more important than setting any benchmark.
Excellent, Mr. Thakur. Would anybody else like to?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to put a word in this. Instead of thinking a zero accident, why don't we think zero harm? Because I want, if anybody enters into the industry, he has to require the same healthy standard in which he entered bearing the aging. So let us not think of accident. Let us think of harm. Accident is the next step. Let us not go for it. So we have to think big. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any of our other esteemed panelists would like to add?
Yeah, zero harm is the unsafe act and unsafe condition. Like if you remove those two, there will not be even mishaps. Forget about accidents. So there will not be even mishaps. Like what sir is telling is, of course, true. We have to hit at the bottom and then try to correct it at that particular point of time. Then there will not be any even the mishaps or the minor accidents at all. So
thanks, Murthy. Thank you. Now, next question is specifically addressed to Thakur sir. This is from Meenu. For Thakur sir, as you mentioned about...
Right? When I asked this question in an open house, that are you willing or dare to take the call to go to another 100 crore rupees investment? They said, absolutely. We have seen the fruit of it and we are ready for that. But, see what the impact is coming. We have taken the budget of 130 crores in the beginning of the year. But with right set of controls and balances, we are able to wrap up much lesser than that. It means we have given that money back to the management stating, with the right set of controls, we are able to give you this money. And with that 25 crores, which we are giving it back, they have in turn taking it. They have given it back to us stating that use this in your safety improvement.
Oh, great.
Right. So it's a value addition. It's like if you save, whatever you save, it's your earning. And I must say that I'm very lucky to be a part of the pharma industry right now, because I feel pride on two aspects. One, saving the life of my own people. Second, giving the life-saving drug to the community, to the society.
Thanks for the great answer. Now, the next question I'll take is from Arpit to all the panelists. The question goes like this: even after being heavily trained, it's been found that people go numb in critical situations. For example, alarming others during a major fire. Is there a way in BBS or behavior-based safety to work up on that situation? So should I repeat it? Even after being heavily trained, it's been found that people go numb in critical situations. Is there a way in BBS to work up on that situation? This is for all the panelists.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, I think no matter all people are different. Some people can they can act and are brave and are organized and cool under really extreme pressure. Some people just fall apart. So no matter how much training that you do, there will always be the possibility that someone won't be able to function. But that, to be honest, the main thing that people need to understand is if there is an accident, yes, you have to raise the alarm, but you've got to make sure that you get to a safe place yourself, and then maybe raise the alarm. But behavioral safety, yeah, it could help, but people's personalities and people's way of thinking are completely different. Their perceptions are completely different. Can you turn someone into a superhuman who's going to be able to do that? It can be done. I suppose it can be done. But at the end of the day, you need to identify the people that are able to do those roles, have those responsibilities that you put up front, who are going to be your fire marshals and are going to be your leaders in the matter when there is an emergency. So you need to understand the different levels of understanding and being able to do emergency response situations.
So this will be the last question that I'll be taking up. This is from Sarthak Singh. What are the values an EHS professional should possess to become an industry leader? I'll repeat it. What are the values an EHS professional should possess to become an industry leader? It's for all the panelists. It's from a student called Sarthak.
If I can just take up
Yes,
this.
please.
Actually, I mean, I'm just sharing my experiences over last 7 years after the NITIE, not just specific to EHS, but yeah, as a professional passing out of NITIE, what are the, say, 10 things or 12 things which actually, at least in my personal experience, help me to grow in the ladders, I mean, corporate ladders. I think accountability, ownership, and being dependable are the key non-negotiables to be successful. So no matter what small work or giving that printout to your CEO or giving that printout to your business head, from that to drafting a strategy, no work is small. I mean, I think they ask you for a printout not because they don't know how to take printout. So it's about being dependable. Accountability, ownership, dependability. That is something, the non-negotiables, I would say, for any professionals. I think every day is the first day. That is something which I always believed right from the student life. We need to keep proving ourselves consistently every day, justify the return on investment every day, not only in professional life, even in personal life, in whatever role we play, be it a manager at an office or be it a father, be it a whatever, husband. So that is one thing. Keep justifying our role every day. There's no free lunch. We can't take anyone for granted because I also believe no one is indispensable. I repeat, no one is indispensable in any of our, I mean, whatever we do. I think another point I always believed is the attitude determines the attitude. So I think the attitude of being open to learn, accepting the feedback, listening to others, keeping us updated will help us to get better every day. I think getting better every day could be the one motto actually. So in whatever we do. Another thing which is very required for MBA professionals is the learning the art of influencing without authority. Because when we join, we will join as a managers. We won't join as a decision makers. But we'll have to assume the leadership from the start. We can't wait to become a group safety head or group supply chain head to become the leader. So we'll have to start assuming that leadership, show the pride from the beginning, display the commitment, and we should not say no to anything. I think that is something which I told in my first point also. Never say no to anything, no matter how small. Seize the opportunity to lead. So leadership opportunities are not, you will not be asked one day and tomorrow you will become a leader. No one will say that in corporate life. So it's up to you to grab that opportunity in every small possible way. Don't even think that only if you come up with a new product, you become a leader. So right from small gestures, you have to grab the opportunity to lead, give your 100%. Closing the loop which is very important to the leaders when you join as a graduates, when you join, especially with managers, anything, they may tell you 20 things, go back to them and complete that 20 things. That will help them to give you 10 more things. The more you take up, the more you have portfolios, the more you have team members. Those things will follow it. And of course, other things like being a problem solver, we should not hesitate to share our experiences with our junior colleagues. There is nothing that everything is open source now. There is nothing that I know that I'm the environmental law. I know everything in environmental law. Doesn't mean other person does not know. Just a Google search will give you everything. You don't need to graduate from NITIE to know the environmental law or supply chain strategies. Everything is in Google. So always never hesitate to share the experiences with junior colleagues. That is where you are going to take up that leadership position. Always stay away from the office politics. I've never seen anyone succeeding beyond a point by doing office politics. I think more than any job portals, professional networking and relationships will always help us to identify our future job prospects. That is something which I want to reiterate the people here. I think the networking beyond your team, beyond your office, beyond your kind of work locations, company is very important to grow in the ladders. Always, because you have to kind of have this right relationship, networking. I think another thing I have personally faced is, you as a young guy from NITIE MBA, you'll have so many dreams, so much passion to achieve so many things. Ultimately, we all have to know one thing: you will have to make your boss succeed in your companies. So you'll have 20 things, priorities. Always help your boss succeed. We have to execute on boss's priority first. I think that is also some probably it's learnings from my own shortcomings maybe. I think focus on solving problems and delivering value rather than counting your promotions. So every 2 years I got, every 3 years I got. Now I'm in 50 lakh. Tomorrow I'll be in 60 lakh. Don't. I think those things will follow up. I think focusing on solving the problems in hand to your company, in whichever professional, whichever field you are taking up after NITIE is something. I think, like I told you, acting as a leader before you become one is very important. And being nice to the team members, because if always NITIE people I have seen outshining, nothing against any other college. Maybe I'm more kind of NITIE and praising them, but I think I've seen NITIE people shining every role they take up in many companies across the country, in fact across the globe. One thing I think I would kind of recommend is being nice to others. When you grew up, you see people from IIMs not getting promoted and people from NITIE getting soon promoted. I've seen multiple cases, not just in my case. I think being nice to the team members when you go up, because you will meet them when you come down. So it's always, I think, not only in team, even in life. So it's always good to be nice with everyone, so that the moment you come down, there are people to support you. So not that every time you only will rise. So there could be 100 reasons and excuses for not getting a work done on the same day in our lives. Always find that one reason to come up, stand up, and complete the work. I think that is something, the kind of motto. I think lastly, I don't want to bore by telling more. I think last thing is, good is the enemy of the great. It's always easy to settle for good. Okay, I am a good, I've settled in life. I've got a good promotion. I've got a good salary. I got a good life. I think, but we need to, I think all of us, we need to keep finding ways and strive to make our careers great, our lives great. Good is the enemy of great. I think the journey from the good, I mean, if people are from NITIE, they are already good. There's no point in talking less than that. So, but how many of us are going from good to great? I think that will decide where are we in our lives. I think all the best to everyone. I think these are my lessons which I learned in my 7 years of corporate experience after NITIE.
Thank you, Balaji, for that very inspiring answer. I'm sure it will inspire all our students listening to you all. Because of shortage of time, we won't be able to take any more questions. We'll deal with them later. Sorry for that. I will now invite Professor Shankar Murthy to give the vote of thanks.
Yeah, Seema, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, eminent panelists, director, deans, my faculty colleagues, and my dear students. We are really honored to have wonderful speakers from diverse domain and all over the globe, having a rich experience, sharing their knowledge on the topic of the role of safety in ensuring business continuity. Well, at the outset, I would like to, on behalf of Environmental Engineering and Management area, and also on behalf of NITIE, I'd like to congratulate and thank each one of the panelists for sparing their valuable time and sharing their great experience with all of us. Definitely, I'm sure that we are all benefited from this collaboration. Coming to the theme of the Ecolloquium, the role of safety in ensuring business continuity is a very well thought of theme, which is very apt for the present condition, especially in the COVID pandemic situation, where the industries are slowly opening up their businesses in India as India is unlocking, right? Well, safety is an integral part of any process industry operations, all the elite panel members have shared their vast experiences with the participants. Now it's time to thank all of them. I'll just, maybe I'll take a few more minutes, Seema, if you could allow me.
Yes, Murthy.
To start with, we had Mr. Thakur from, who is the global head of SHE and sustainability from Reddy's Laboratory. He clearly explained the BCP 1 to 4 and how his firm worked tirelessly to implement this, like all the employees, and then successfully implemented. And also he said about the checks and balances, and he said about the humanitarian balance that employs at the Reddy's lab. And also he talked about the people who are having COVID, but still we cannot, that is asymptomatic condition, and how they managed all those things without any problem. And it's wonderful to know that they worked throughout the pandemic, almost all the 6 months. And then during the question and answer, he said spending 90 plus 1,000 crores on safety is nothing. That's a great answer, and that really shows how you are giving importance to safety. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time and sharing your experience. Then we had Mr. Santosh Kumar Srivastava, who is the Chief Health and Safety Officer from Oil and Gas. He explained the problem associated with the offshore problems, especially evacuation of the workers or the stakeholders or the people who are working offshore, and then providing medicines and essential to those people, and also the mass testing, about 10,000 odd people, and how the COVID management facility or plan was successfully implemented in their firm. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and explaining us or sharing with us the experience. Then we have Avinash Sharma, who is the corporate director EHS from CIPLA. He also explained about the BCP plan, BCP in CIPLA, and then role of safety. And he explained about the safety, disaster, and non-compliance and health issues, which could dismantle all the process industry, the operations. And then he also talked about the environmental issues, which also can be of great importance, and that has to be considered very, in a very positive manner, so that we can have uninterrupted business going on. Okay, next, thank you so much, sir, for sharing such a wonderful experience with our audience. Next, we had Stephen Philip. He is the SHE and Fire consultant from RS Plus Limited. He talked about the importance of 22301 implementation of this, and then he talked about 10 key elements, policies, right from leadership management, then resources, then crisis response, then implementation of policies, plan, etc., and then replication of incidences, just to name a few. So replication of incidents is really very, very strange, and we have to be prepared for this. Otherwise, the disaster may start all over again. So thank you, Steve, for sharing your experiences with our audience. Next, we had Shanmugam Srinivasan. He is the, Natarajan. Shanmugam Natarajan, he is the regional head EHS manager from Caterpillar. He talked about ERP and BRP, that is emergency resource plan, and then how the power generation, like how they convinced the government that power generation is one of the essential during the COVID period, and then they could convince them, and then they could run the factory by just maybe shutting down for about 3 to 4 days. And also the risk assessment of all the processes and the role of safety professionals in the business BCP. Like he said, that's very important. Like the safety professions are not taken into account at all, especially in processes and other things. I think so. We have to pitch in and then say that safety is the paramount importance, and it has to be given or considered as the core value, right? And then he also talked about return to work matrix, which is very important, because like some of the people who left during the breakdown, or sorry, during the lockdown, it's very difficult for them to convince and then come back to work. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experiences. And then our Balaji, our own representative from NITIE in the corporate, he took safety as a whole. Like he talked something totally different from what others spoke. He talked about the loans that is given to any industry or any business to start, and then they look at the safety as one of the very, very important aspect in giving the loans. And any industry not fulfilling that will definitely have to pay more, or rather they are not given loan at all, right? And then he also talked about several things. He talked about safety, human rights, environment, and also the government parameters, that is laws and other things. And then very important aspect he talked is the safety in business functions, different business functions. And then he talked about the life cycle approach, how safety can be implemented in the product design, like through life cycle approach. And then also, of course, we have experienced the safety in supply chain, marketing, and even in CSR, which I think so we did not think much about this, but thanks for showing us even this can be applied in even in CSR as well as the supply chain. So Balaji, thank you so much
yes, sir,
for sharing your experience. It's very nice to know that you have grown to such a level, and we are all very happy. This is the only profession where we feel happy if our students are our, I don't know, students, if they even overtake us. We are very proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, then we had a very nice experience of going through the mine activities through the wonderful visual treat of PPTs presented by Mr. Armugam. Sir, it was really wonderful to know that there are so many safety issues in mining industry. And then you talked about disasters, accidents, and environmental issues, especially pertaining to the mining industry. And of course, like it's very well accepted in safety that prevention is the best form of cure. And that's what we are all doing it. Try to prevent at the first place itself. Okay, correct it at on-spot correction. One of the basics of BBS is on-spot correction at the right time. So if that is done, we'll not have any disasters at all. And then you also talked about importance of inbuilt safety in the products, which of course there are some products which will not function if that particular safety, what do you say, this thing is not operated, like maybe safety switch is not operated. Like for example, the best example is if you're not wearing a seat belt, it will start giving beep. Okay, that is definitely a very good inbuilt safety systems we have. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge with our participants. Also, I'd like to thank the director, deans, and all the officials, officers at NITIE. And last but not the least, I'm very much thankful to the team, Siley and others.
In fact, we'll invite all of them to put on their videos.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
A group
And
picture.
other students who attended, and you all made this big success. And I think so. This is the beginning of our ISCM program, but definitely we are going to have such programs in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our panelists for accepting our invites and gracing this panel discussion and making it really fruitful. We all have learned many new things, and it would be very beneficial for us, as sir mentioned. I would also like to thank our professors, Professor Seema Unikrishnan and Professor in charge, Anju ma'am, who has guided us and has been there with us through each and every point of time whenever we had any issues for approaching anyone. So thank you, Anju ma'am, and thank you, Shankar Murthy sir. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the student coordinators from PMG and Laksh committee as well. I'd like to mention here that I might have been in front of the camera today, but all my members from Sustainability and Youth Forum have contributed equally at the back end in making this event successful. Now I would be like, if I may, I'd be highly obliged and would like to request all the panelists to switch on the videos so that we can capture this event.
Yeah, Vasundhara, you can also switch on. Akash, Archisman, so that we get you all on camera.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you can take the group pic.
I'll take it.
Yeah, please.
Just like to thank you everybody from Team Avartan, and it was a pleasure hosting all of you. And I would just like to finish up with two life learning points from this particular session. Arumugam sir rightly pointed out that all things that can go wrong will go wrong, and you have to be prepared for the execution. So I think we were prepared, and we hope you enjoyed the session. You also mentioned about the discipline, sir. I think as students we need to learn this over and like throughout the life, and like Balaji sir said, even after passing out NITIE, he was learning, and he said two very important points. It was accountability and help others. So that's one thing probably I will keep it throughout my life through this live session. And to sum it all up in this particular conclave, a panelist rightly pointed out that business continuity and emergency response may be are seen as two separate areas, but they have overlapping areas and should be kept in mind. So I thoroughly enjoyed this session and would like to thank you, professors, and thank the panelists on behalf of the complete Avartan team for spending this afternoon with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to one and all.
Thank you everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks to each of the panelists.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.